You stand up with a mission. Kitchen. There's something you need in the kitchen, and you can feel it. It's right there, fully formed, urgent enough to get you off the couch. 10 steps. You walk in. And it's gone. Not fuzzy, not on the tip of your tongue, just gone. And there you are in the middle of your own kitchen, rebooting, staring at the fridge like it did something to you. And now the annoying bit, the thing you won't be able to unsee once I point at it. That blank wasn't random. Your age didn't do it, and neither did a rough night's sleep. And no, before you go there, it wasn't your phone either. Your brain wiped that thought on purpose at a very specific moment, and you walked straight through the trigger without noticing. Give me 10 minutes and you'll never quietly panic about it again, and I'll hand you the one trick that snaps the thought right back. First, breathe, because I know where your mind went. Everybody's first thought here is the scary one. Is this early something? Is my memory going? No. This happens to sharp 20-year-olds, and it happens to people with, frankly, ferocious memories. And it happens to me, a person who does this for a living, at least twice a week. If anything, it tends to hit the busy, mentally loaded people harder. And I'll explain exactly why in a minute. So whatever else you take from this, take that. This is not decline. This is your brain running well. Almost too well. Now the reveal, and it's going to sound too simple until you hear the why. The trigger is the doorway, the actual physical door frame you walked through. Psychologists have a slightly smug little name for this. They call it the doorway effect. And it's one of those findings that sounds like a joke until you see it hold up over and over. Researchers had people memorize a handful of objects, then either carry that information across a room or carry it the exact same distance but through a doorway into a new room. Same steps, same seconds. The only difference was the door, and the people who crossed the threshold forgot noticeably more. Then, because scientists are relentless, they rebuilt the whole thing in a virtual house where you're just clicking through rooms. No bodies, no walking, nothing physical at all. And the effect showed up again. Cross a doorway, lose the thread. The door isn't a coincidence in the story. The door is the cause. So what on earth is a door frame doing to your memory? Here's where it gets genuinely interesting, and it changes how you think about your whole day. Your brain does not record your life as one long continuous tape. It can't. It'd drown. Instead, it chops experience into episodes, little scenes, chapters, and it's constantly, silently deciding where one scene ends and the next begins. Those cut points have a name too: event boundaries. A boundary can be a lot of things. You finish a task, the conversation topic changes, someone new walks in. But one of the single, strongest, most reliable boundary triggers your brain has ever found is you physically moving from one space into another. A doorway basically screams at your brain, "New scene, new chapter, wrap it up back there." And when your brain wraps up a chapter, it does something ruthless. It files the old scene away and clears the desk for the new one. That thought, "Get my keys, grab the charger, check the thing on the stove," wasn't floating in your mind as some freestanding fact. It was stapled to the scene you were in when you had it. The living room, the couch, that exact context. Your brain tagged it living room stuff. Then you got up, walked through the door, and your brain went, "Cool, we're done with the living room chapter. Let's flush the living room context to make room." And your errand was in that context. You didn't lose the thought, you left it in the other room. Physically walked away from the shelf your brain had set it on. This is the part I really want you to sit with because it flips the whole thing from embarrassing to kind of elegant. That flush is not a malfunction. It's the design. Working memory, the little mental scratch pad you're using right now, is tiny and expensive and fast. And it stays fast precisely because it's brutal about dumping anything it thinks you no longer need. Picture the opposite for a second. You keep all of it. That errand you meant to run an hour ago? The thought you had in the hallway? Some reminder from the bedroom last Tuesday? Still open, still pinging at you. Nothing ever cleared. You wouldn't feel thorough. You'd feel buried. You couldn't finish a sentence. The whole reason you can walk into a new room and instantly deal with what's in front of you is that your brain just cleared out the last room to give you a clean slate. The forgetting is the feature. You're paying a tiny, occasional tax, one lost errand, for a mind that stays quick and uncluttered the other 10,000 times a day. That's a bargain, honestly. And notice, this explains the weird details you've probably clocked without thinking about them. It's worse when the two rooms are really different, because a bigger scene change means a harder boundary and a more aggressive flush. It's worse when you're carrying a lot, mentally. When your head's already full of work, or worry, or a conversation you're half having. Because there's less room on that scratch pad to begin with, so the cleanup hits harder. That's why the busy, switched-on people get ambushed by this the most. It's not that your memory is weaker, it's that you're running more, so the boundary has more to sweep. The sharper your day, the blanker that kitchen. So here's the trick I promised, and now you'll understand why it works instead of just doing it like a superstition. Go back. Walk back into the room you started in. Not try harder to remember, that almost never works, because you're straining in the wrong room, digging where the thought was never buried. The thought is tied to the original context, so give yourself the original context back. Stand where you were standing. Look at what you were looking at. 9 times out of 10, the errand comes flooding back, the instant the room hands you back its cue, because the room was holding it for you the whole time. Your keys weren't in your head. They were in the living room, in more ways than one. This is the same reason a smell drops you into a childhood kitchen, or a song throws you back into one specific summer. Memory is glued to the setting it was made in. Change the setting, lose the glue. Return the setting, get it back. And this is the fun part, because once you know the mechanism, you can cheat it. Catch yourself heading for another room with something you can't afford to drop? Say it out loud. Out loud, like a weirdo talking to nobody. One word, keys, and it's out of that fragile little room context and pinned somewhere the doorway can't reach. Or picture the thing exploding on the object you'll see next. Your keys on fire on the kitchen counter, whatever. The sillier, the stickier. You're basically smuggling the intention across the border before your brain's customs officer can confiscate it. Little tricks, but they work. And they only make sense once you understand you're fighting an event boundary, not a broken memory. So the next time you're standing in a doorway with a completely empty head, wondering what's wrong with you, nothing is. You didn't lose your mind for 3 seconds. You crossed a boundary your brain treats as the end of a chapter, and it did exactly what a good, efficient, well-run brain is supposed to do. It closed the book and cleared the desk. You just happen to leave one thing on the page. Walk back, pick it up, and maybe give the thing a little more credit. Because a mind that can forget on purpose is a far more impressive machine than one that simply remembers everything and chokes. Quick thing before you go, because I'm genuinely curious. What's the specific room this happens to you in the most? The kitchen, the bedroom, walking into the garage? Drop it in the comments because there's a pattern in the answers, and I want to see if yours fits it. And if this rewired one small thing about how you see your own head, you're going to want the one on why your brain replays your most cringe-worthy memory at 2 a.m. for absolutely no reason. Same machinery, much more personal. That's the next one to watch. I'll see you there.